Hi everyone. So today we're going to be talking about how do we use feedback from Story 2 to edit our personal statement. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the project description that Mr. Lubing and I will be grading this project on. So the first thing that we're going to be grading is the first draft feedback from Story 2. That was what you uploaded to Story 2 feedback from 6/1/2020. So that's worth 15 points. The second thing is we're going to be using the rubric below to grade your second draft of your personal statement for 70 points. And the final thing is your second draft feedback from Story 2, which is 15 points. And I'm going to go through all of this. So you all should have received your first draft of feedback from Story 2. It should look like this. So everyone's feedback should look something like this. They write you a letter. Here are the 3 things I learned about you, and then they list 3 things. Questions that they're wondering about based on what you wrote. What are they wondering still? And then they tell you what they're focusing their comments on when they comment on your essay. All right, so they choose 2 or 3 categories to focus on to give you feedback on. Then you scroll down and they explain that there's green is like it's a strength in your essay, yellow could be improved, red it needs a lot of work. And then they tell you what they recommend you focus on for now. So then you go down and you see your rubric and what category you're in, right? And so this would be red, yellow, green for them. Then you keep scrolling down, and then they have your essay with your feedback, with their feedback, their comments. All right. So everyone should have received that. That is what the first 15 points of your project are, that you received feedback for your first draft of your college essay. So I want to go through the feedback, their rubric, the Story 2 rubric, which is similar to and pretty same as the rubric that Mr. Lubing and I will be using to grade your second draft. All right. So this is the rubric that they use. If you look at this first category, college essay orientation, this part of the rubric looks at the authenticity of your essay. Why is this essay that you're writing unique to you? And you want to give the admissions officers a reason to believe in you and why they should accept you in your college. So this here talks about the topic. You want a strong and memorable topic. Voice, it should sound like you, right? They should be able to hear you speaking this and you saying this. You don't want to use really overly formal language. Character, what does this show about you? And you want to show yourself in a positive light at the end. And reasons to believe, you want to give them a reason to believe in you. Then the next part of the rubric is based in moments. All right. In this part, the most successful essays go deep into a few detailed moments. You don't want to be like very general when you're doing your college essay and talk about just experiences. You want to have specific moments that you are talking about. So if we think about the Snack Shack, right? They have a few specific moments he talks about. He talks about his job interview. He talks about an interaction with a customer trying to get papers from him. He talks about being robbed. So he talks about a few moments and a few defining moments that really show who he is. Then if you move down to story structure is your magnet, pivot, and glow. The most successful stories start in the action with a magnet that grabs our attention and makes us want to keep reading. Remember, these college essay admissions officers are reading hundreds of essays, and you want to make your essay stand out. So when we start with your magnet, right, we always said start with your inner thinking, action, dialogue, description. You don't have to use all of them, but you want to start in the action with dialogue, description. So choose some of those. Um, if you think about Mr. Lubing's that he rewrote for the Broadened Horizons, he changed the person's personal statement beginning to start talking about the airplane ride and the action of being in this airplane and the description of how this person felt going up in the air. For this big moment in their life. All right. When you think about your pivot, you want a clear before and after. You want to show that a moment of change or growth. And then for your glow, you want to end in the action. Show us what, leave us something to remember you by. You want to show something that's memorable for you. And all of this, your magnet, pivot, glow should be using details, dialogue, description, action. You want us to be in the moment with you, in these different moments with you. Then we move on to the 3Ds: details, dialogue, and description. Your essay should take place in the real world where there's a lot of action, a lot of description, details, dialogue. You really want to paint a picture for your reader. You want your reader to be there with you on this journey. All right? You don't want to say things like I learned this, or I felt this, or I'm a strong person, because you want to show us with details, dialogue, description. And then the last part of the rubric is the grammar and conventions. You want to make sure that you have good spelling, punctuation, capitalization, grammar. This doesn't have to be extremely formal, but the reader should be able to understand what you are talking about throughout your story. They should not be confused. All right, so this is the rubric for story 2 that Mr. Lubing and I will be using to grade you. And this is what they use to give you feedback. All right, so what you're going to be working on is, if you're in a yellow, what can you do to move yourself to a green, right? How maybe you have to add a few moments to your story. You need more details to describe these moments. You need more description. And this is like where Mr. Lubing was saying in his last lesson, you want to get rid of all those telling words, and you want to use inner thinking, action, dialogue, and description to really play out these moments. Okay. So now the next part is your revising and editing. So what we want you to do is copy your focus out essay into your second draft. Okay? The second draft is the one that Mr. Lubing and I are going to grade. What we want you to do is read your feedback from story 2. Read it slowly and carefully and see what areas they think you need to improve on. Then we want you to use that feedback to make your essay stronger. That means you're going to have to maybe get rid of some paragraphs. Maybe you're going to have to add some more moments, some more details, description. As you did in your last lesson, if you didn't in your last lesson, or if you still see, make sure you get rid of some of the telling language, like your I feel, I thought, I learned, I realized, etc., and replace those with inner thinking, action, dialogue, and description. Your essay should be filled with this and have a lot of action. Then make sure that in your essay, you can clearly identify your magnet, your pivot, and your glow. Your magnet, just to remember, makes the reader want to keep reading. It's the beginning of your essay, and you're using inner thinking, action, dialogue, and description. Really set the scene, get us in the moment. Then your pivot is the point where you change, grow, or risk something. There should be a before and after. That something that shows that maybe before you were this young person, now you've changed, right? You want to have some change or growth. And the glow is the end of your essay. What do you want the reader to remember you by? Okay? You want them to, after they put down your essay, you want them to still be thinking about you. After you've used all of your feedback, you've made edits, you've rewritten paragraphs, you've rewritten sentences, you're going to put your final touches on your essay. This is going to be in paragraph form. It should not be one huge paragraph. And if you've used the outline, make sure you get rid of it for the magnet, context, pre-context, and pivot. So if you're looking at this essay, right, some people still have magnet written there and the description. Make sure you get rid of it. Each of these should be a new paragraph. Right? So when it's all said and done, this should be an essay. Okay? Make sure there's capitalization, spelling. Then make sure you slowly reread your essay out loud to yourself. That enables you to hear what it sounds like and pick up on things that maybe you wouldn't pick up on. If you have time, have a friend read it. Have ask them for feedback. And then the last thing you do is you're going to submit it again to Story 2 for feedback. This is the last 15 points of your grade. So you're going to submit it on Sunday evening to Story 2 for feedback. All right. Like we've said many times, this is not the final draft of your college essay. This is the second draft. You are going to do many more revisions. Over the summer, you can continue editing your essay, but this is just your second draft, and there's a lot more room for improvement. But it's all an editing process. You have to change things, fix things, maybe add things. All right, so have fun with it. Remember, you really want this story to say what a unique and incredible person you are and why you're different from everyone else. All right, good luck. Let us know if you have any questions.